we're going back into Balboa Park, San Diego, California. We went and saw the Museum of Us, which is the new name, since we all know that they have changed the names to all of these buildings many times. It was originally called the California Tower. This is what they tell us, and most likely was named something before that. Because before it was called the Museum of Us, it was called the Museum of Man. And this was changed in August of 2020. So they are still changing these old world buildings' names, even to this day. And this is an attempt to make it extremely confusing for someone that is following the mainstream history to ever go all the way back and find the truth. Because once you find the original name of the building, you can then dig into the narrative. But when you throw the new name into the search box, it comes up with everything that's happened with its new name. The new history story, or his story. This building serves as the entrance to Balboa Park. It is 200 feet high with a bell that chimes every quarter hour. And this gets very interesting when we see that public access to the tower had been closed since 1935. You really can't make this stuff up. Locking the doors to the public in 1935. Because of course there's nothing to see here. And in 2015 they begin the process to allow this. But before I read this next part, remember, they supposedly built these entire buildings with perfection over 110 years ago in less than 24 months. And we showed this in our last episode. So here we go. The process began to allow us to all be able to look at the tower again because they wouldn't hide anything, right? So the process began in 2015, and they need to do some work on it first to make sure that it's all ready for us to see again. The work included making it wheelchair accessible. Okay, that's fine. But then there are, of course, additional things that they are going to do to the building. Architectural and engineering services to evaluate and restore. There's that word again. We know here that restoration is really destruction. This building was perfect, exactly like we have seen when we went to the Pasadena City Hall and when it survived perfectly fine for decades. And then they randomly shut it down to make it earthquake proof. And the repair company got a golden ticket for their efforts. When Pasadena has recorded 6,943 earthquakes since 1931. So the building obviously didn't need our help. And I'm just gonna throw this in here before I forget, because this lines up with what we're saying perfectly. That everything was given back to us since 1776, including documenting the weather. So for thousands of years, we were told that no weather forecast was ever observed. Well, leave it to the 1860s. Donkey riding cowboys that were of course suffering in sheds, but also had castles to get this done no problem at all. Okay, now let's continue. To evaluate and restore the highly ornamental cast stone facades and complete re-roofing and repair of the tile domes. So in my eyes and in my opinion, based on everything that we know and have seen to this point, everything that they just listed in this paragraph that they supposedly fixed up before allowing us to see it for 80 years, having it locked away from us, the public, every single one of these things that they just named were destroyed or dramatically changed to fit into the mainstream narrative. There was something in here that we were not supposed to see. It was locked away. It would have totally changed the mainstream narrative of Balboa Park, or possibly the rest of the world, with this building being the main attraction and the entrance to the park. There was surely something important inside this building, and it was definitely not built to be a museum. So we know that these buildings were constructed in less than 24 months, like we have said and shown. So this whole fix-up project, from the point of deciding that it needs to be fixed up in 2015 to the completion date of the destruction, it better have been faster than the people of 110 years ago, since the 2015 people aren't building the entire building. And we are, of course, evolving in advance. Wait, no? What is this? It took them 60 months just to destroy this place? I mean, repair? It was completed in 2020, taking them a total of 5 years to complete the project. And they finish it off with a nice gesture, saying that they, of course, preserved the tower's exterior. So nice of them. And we're just getting started today because we have the Casa del Prado Theater, also located at Balboa Park. And that one was also reconstructed several times. At this point, we fully understand that they have destroyed anything at this site of Balboa Park that would have hands down given the old world away to us. Any depictions, any dates, all of that. On the front of this totally average, very easily constructed building, we also know that they are destroying and hiding things from the public for 80 years, which we've shown today. And this isn't sketchy at all. Well, actually it is. We are also told of the buildings that still remain at Balboa Park from the exposition. Of the buildings that still remain, so we also know that they have destroyed a lot of the buildings from Balboa Park, removed them completely from our timeline because these types of masterpieces were very easily constructed in the 18 and the 1900s. This type of construction was very bland and was a simple upgrade from their shed homes that they would go home to after building with their horses and wagons. And of course, these buildings were nothing like the incredible Kleksinski building, currently located in Chicago, that took our civilization 14 years to complete with its perfect 90-degree angles, its incredible stonework. Oh, there wasn't any stone? No? Okay. Well, then it's perfect marble. What? Wait, no marble either? No. It's a perfect box that took 14 years to build, when we were all watching and real documentation was taking place. So what happened to all these buildings that they destroyed? They tell us that the Linenwold Castle, located in Ambler, Pennsylvania, was designed by Milton Bean and built in 1890 without any details on its construction. It's just done in 1890, where Madison lived in the castle with his second wife, Mary, where after Madison died, the new people turned this palace into an orphanage called St. Mary's. Mary, Mary, Mary. So we have a massive castle, done in 1 year or less. And for decades, that's all we needed to hear for it to be true, until now, where we understand that logically, that is impossible, especially 134 years ago. And especially when it's a castle straight out of the old world civilization's home improvement catalog. Here on HouseHisTree.com, in the middle of this story that has zero logistical details or anything relevant to actually building anything, and just has a bunch of nonsense, like naming sons royal, retired business partners, and telling us how many rooms are in this castle that they found. They do give us a tip, and the tip is the Windsor Castle. The sentence reads that Madison might have chose to model his castle after the Windsor Castle, which is the most popular answer. And it's the most popular answer among which group? Because that is definitely not the most popular answer to us. But they think it might be modeled after another castle nearby, and they all dispute it for years and years. And remember, it's all nonsense. We have no idea who this group is that they tell us that this is the most popular thought. What I see in all of this is one thing: the Windsor Castle. And I want to see what year they say this Windsor Castle was built in, because I bet you it is connected to this castle. And this castle in Pennsylvania might have actually been built hundreds of years ago, if not thousands. And they will give it all away with this Windsor Castle connection, located in Berkshire, Windsor, built in 1070, over 954 years ago, as a fortress, and covers 484,000 square feet of living space, divided into about 1,000 rooms. So something is extremely clear here. We are 100% being lied to about our history. And we all know that, but I have to say it out loud, because 1,000 years ago, they are building 1,000 room fortresses with ease. And it of course lasts forever, no questions asked. And today we have evolved so much that we can't build a sidewalk without stepping in it before it dries. Now, this is my opinion, but I can see them adding this Windsor Castle into the narrative for a specific reason. And I personally think it's to connect the dates, that these castles are from nearly 1,000 years ago, when the previous civilization that had all the technology, had proper training, and had the logistics down, instead of the opposite happening, where we are told that there were no classes in castle building at the local community college in the year 1070, where they would go home to their sheds and sleep with candlelight, freezing using barn hay as beds, and then waking up again traveling by horse and wagon to pull stone and granite miles on a trail, and getting this 1,000 room fortress done no problem. The timeline is clearly all over the place at this point. They could have told us that it was built in the year 1045. It would have made no difference, and people would have just believed it until you start digging deeper, which we are doing here. The castle has, of course, 300 fireplaces and 379 clocks. Do any of our towns have any upcoming plans to knock a 1,000 room, 300 fireplace fortress out in the next few years? What about half that? No? With our modern construction, 1,000 years after they did this, we should be able to do this with ease, since they did, without a power tool in sight. Supposedly, we have a better education system, so we are told. We have more knowledge than ever, supposedly. What is wrong with this picture? I would say a lot. Do you understand that something is wrong with the timeline? Something massive? Can we all see the lie very clearly now? We have been lied to about all of this, starting around the year 1800, and possibly right before that, where everything in our timeline began, and the old world buildings from the previous civilization are still here for us to see, in every city, with insane narratives to try to fit them into this lie, where we are told that people from 1,000 years ago were less than us, worse off, and we are told that we have all this brand new technology in the last 200 years. Everything is brand new. Every company was created recently, all over the world. Is that not strange to you? And we're told this new technology has never been here before. Planes, trains, cars, phones, computers, internet, and the AI, when it has. And in my opinion, it's been here many, many times before, and so have we.